Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips, which is brought to you by Wellness Forum Health and the Wellness Forum Institute. Last week, this week for Christmas in July, this is where you buy a 6-month supply of smoothie. You get 2.5 times that amount of money toward 2 out of 4 courses I'm offering as weekend boot camps this fall. Optimal Health and Life with Pam, Part 1 and Part 2, and Common Conditions, Causes, and Treatments, Part 1 and Part 2. I'm going to be talking about atrial fibrillation, headaches and migraines, thyroid disorders, kidney stones, fibromyalgia, food allergies, and all kinds of topics that I haven't really covered in boot camps up until now. So that ends Friday, the end. I think one of these may already be sold out and your choices might be a little more limited. So don't wait, all right, if you want to do this. Another thing is business training for health professionals starts on September 16th. This is a 9-module series where I show health professionals how to do what we've done, which is to build a strong international practice, or if you're a licensed health professional, local practice that's profitable, fun. We've got to get the fun and excitement back in healthcare practice. I have a great time at work every day. I can show you how to do it too. And we'll help you develop promotional pieces and workshops and educational materials and teach you how to be a better person at marketing yourself. So that starts September 16th. All right, so the topic I want to discuss today is the Biden-Harris administration announced a few days ago that tough negotiations with drug companies resulted in lowering the price of 10 drugs for Medicare patients. It only took me 15 minutes to figure out that representatives from the drug companies had to be working hard not to laugh during the tough negotiations, and they probably uncorked some really expensive champagne as soon as the meetings were concluded. The reason is the drugs for which the prices were lowered are useless for most applications, and paying less for useless drugs doesn't improve healthcare for anyone. It does allow the drug companies to continue to get rich while selling inferior garbage to American patients. In the interest of time and avoiding redundancy, because it all turns out to be sort of the same theme, I won't go through all 10 drugs. It would take a long time, but I'll go through a couple. Let's start with Eliquis. When prescribed to patients with non-valvular atrial fibrillation, Eliquis lowered the risk of stroke and systemic embolism by 0.33% more than warfarin and lowered the risk of bleeding events by almost 1%. Not very impressive. But in another clinical trial, Eliquis was associated with an increase in major bleeding events when compared with aspirin. In fact, under warnings and precautions on the Eliquis website, the most common and most serious adverse reactions reported with Eliquis were related to bleeding. That's a direct quote from the Eliquis website. The cost of Eliquis, thanks to the ACE negotiating team working for the White House, was lowered from $521 per month to $231 per month. Even the lower price seems pretty expensive when considering the very low risk reduction compared to warfarin and the increased bleeding risk when compared to aspirin. Some studies have shown, for example, that aspirin alone can be used for some patients with AFib. So I checked on Amazon for the price of aspirin, and a bottle with 300 pills could be had for $15.31, which would lower the cost to $15 per month for those who qualify. And the monthly cost for warfarin, an older drug, is about $22 per month. So for not much benefit, you get to pay many, many times the amount of money. And this happens all the time. Older drugs with a better safety profile that are cheap are eclipsed by expensive drugs that are worse and have worse side effects. And that brings me to Jardiance. It's prescribed for type 2 diabetes, heart failure, and kidney disease. The ACE negotiating team managed to reduce the cost of this drug for Medicare from $573 per month down to $197. Now, for purposes of what I'm telling you here, I'm just going to narrow my comments to type 2 diabetes. Metformin is an older drug, very effective, relatively safe. Of course, it's better not to have type 2 diabetes in the first place, and it's easy to reverse it for most people. But the current cost for patients who don't know that they don't have to be diabetic is between $10 and $30 per month for metformin. And that's a whole lot cheaper than Jardiance, obviously. So how effective is Jardiance? Well, when used alone, it reduces A1C up to 0.8% at week 24. If you take it along with metformin, same result. In other words, it brings no additional value to the table. This drug rocks. I mean, I don't know how these people do this with a straight face, right? Patients taking Jardiance lost 5.5 pounds at week 24, or an average of 3.66 ounces per week. For an obese person, this must be super life-changing. When added to metformin, weight loss increased significantly to 4.93 ounces per week, not even a half a pound a week, right? Common side effects include bladder pain, difficult or painful urination, frequency of urination, itching or stinging or redness in the vaginal area, lower back or side pain, pain during sexual intercourse. A list of side effects titled Incidents Not Known includes fever, increased thirst, loss of consciousness. That sounds great. Pain and swelling of the area between the anus and genitals, stomach pain, trouble breathing, vomiting, and weight gain. Weight gain for a diabetic. I mean, just it kind of takes your breath away, doesn't it? So the bottom line is lowering the price of useless drugs does not lead to better health care. It rewards the drug companies, which are business partners of almost all politicians and federal agencies and their employees. Another thing to keep in mind is that every day the FDA is approving drugs that are useless on the basis of weak or non-existent evidence. So for every one of these we're talking about, the price gets lowered for a useless drug and two more flood the market. Most of these new drugs are expensive, particularly those used for cancer treatment, which can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and not extend life by a single day. I've put out videos about this in the past and published articles showing that progression-free survival time is increased, which is the time between when the cancer goes into remission and starts growing again, but not overall survival. Politicians rely on the fact that most people won't know this and will think that the tough guys in our government are sticking up for citizens. They're not. What would represent real change is the FDA growing a pair and withdrawing some of these useless drugs from the market, and Medicare and Medicaid and other health organizations insisting on the use of cheaper, older drugs that are very effective and a whole lot safer than some of this new garbage that's been flooding the market, and then also focusing on diet and lifestyle change. Not going to happen for obvious reasons, and that's why we need a new system. And some of you ask me from time to time, what will it take for us to have a new healthcare system? Well, lots of consumers and providers who are trained in the informed process. The faster we get to these numbers, the faster we get a new healthcare system. And one of the reasons why numbers are required, I will not take outside investors for this endeavor. One of the reasons being it would just be too easy for somebody to show an interest in it to shut it down because of its threat to the existing system. So we want to do this with our own money. And that means we need lots of consumers and lots of providers. So if you want to be a provider in the system, step up and get trained. If you want to be a consumer in this system, join. And just one thing I'll mention to you, a lot of people don't know this, and I find out when I talk to them about various things on the phone, but the annual pass membership at Wellness Forum is a great value. It includes a free conference ticket and 4 workshops that I do, new special workshops every year. So the first one I did was this great skin cancer hoax, and the next one will be fluoride at the end of September, and one on hepatitis with all of this fuss about hepatitis B and vaccines and that sort of thing. I think it's time to talk about that. And there will be one more in December that I won't talk about here because of censorship issues. So anyway, if you're interested in an annual pass membership and it includes unlimited one-on-one visits with me, send me an email at pampopper@msn.com. In fact, if you're interested in Christmas in July or the business training or an annual pass membership, send me an email. We'll send back details and get back with you as soon as we can. All right, that's it for today. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it, and I will be back to you on Thursday with more news. Thank you for watching.